If you want to be rich, give up these four things. And these four things are something that most of us, if not all of us, do on some level and to different extents. And fully transparent, like I've been involved in doing all four of these things for a very long time. And in recent years, I've eliminated them and then seen a dramatic change. And sometimes we often feel like we have to participate in these four things, not so much for us, but because of the people that's around us that are used to us responding to their demands or their expectations in certain ways. And really it's not something that we must do, it's something that we're choosing to do, but sometimes we form it to ourselves in a manner that cause us to feel like we don't really have a choice because we don't want to disappoint people. And sometimes in order for you to get what you want and get to where you want to be, either you're going to be disappointed or you're going to disappoint somebody else. But disappointment is definitely a part of the equation. And if you can disappoint other people and truly get to where you desire to be, I promise their disappointment, it won't last that long when you get to where you're going, and especially if they can benefit from it. So the first thing that I would highly encourage you to give up truly in order to be rich is either to move somewhere like totally different than where you currently move if you have the means to do so, and or truly set boundaries with the people that you love. Because oftentimes we get in a routine, and if that routine does not get you closer to where you want to be, then that routine doesn't work. And so often certain routines come as a way of us meeting somebody else's expectation outside of our shadow. And when it comes to family, again, depending on so many various dynamics, sometimes family expect you to do certain things or expect you to be certain things or just expect you to be available. And sometimes that might be contradictory to you getting rich. And there are other, people that, we might love and, want to be around and things like that, but they just don't desire the same thing. And it doesn't make them wrong or you right and them wrong. It's just different. And there is a famous, quote in the ancient book of wisdom, and it says, "How can two walk together lest they agree?" So again, if you don't agree with them and they don't agree with you, it's impossible to walk together. Now that doesn't mean that you can't love them, but it means that the path to your wealth and to your riches is not going to be their path because you don't agree, so you cannot walk together with that person. And again, they're not wrong and you're not right. And there are some people who just don't desire to grow. They don't desire wealth. They don't desire riches, and they want you to stay where they are because they're comfortable. And sometimes people will cause you to feel guilty because you outgrow them. Or people will cause you to feel guilty because you're on a path to growth, or you're on a path to maybe exposing them from something that they could have done, but they see you doing it. And if you're doing it, then it's evident that they could have done it as well, and that doesn't make them feel good. And sometimes people will try to make you feel guilty for your ambition, and the thing that I often have to remind myself is that I love my family, and even though I love my family, we don't have to always agree on everything, because even if somebody tries to make you feel guilty for something, guilt doesn't change desire. The desire is still there. Either desire to, be wealthy or rich or whatever you want, or the desire just to want something different than what they want. It doesn't change. And sometimes people think that if they make you feel guilty enough, then you're going to change what you do. But even if you change what you do, the desire is still not there. And it's like, why would you want somebody to do something with or for or around you if they really don't want to do it? Number 2, give up on obtaining material items for just 12 months. Now, some people might think that that is way too long for them to deprive themselves. And that's a very unique way of looking at it. Because when you really think about depriving yourself is you knowing that you deserve more and never giving yourself a chance to obtain it. Like, that's depriving yourself. And it's like when you give up on buying material items for just 12 months, you'll realize what you even really like. Because if we're totally honest, sometimes we buy things unconsciously to either impress other people or to obtain a certain status, or to obtain, a level of honor and respect that we think somebody's going to give us in their mind. And so when you truly just give up on obtaining material items for 12 months, it really puts you back in touch with yourself and what you actually want and what you actually like. Because so often, like, people work at different jobs or they do things that they just despise and they hate, and then they buy I deserve it gifts. Well, when you buy an I deserve it gift, what you're saying to your financial freedom is that it's not important to me. And so I want to encourage you to avoid buying I deserve it gifts and focus more on financial freedom. Because when you get to financial freedom, you'll learn that what you desired to obtain in that moment, or what you felt like you deserved in that moment, it's not even about what you deserve, but it's like you don't even desire it anymore. And so often people focus on what they deserve more so than what they desire, because the thing is this: one is just a quick temporary compromise, but one is truly what the heart desires. And it's like when you continuously just ignore the heart, and not truly focus on what it is that you want, but you focus on what you feel like you deserve. What you deserve and what you desire is two different things. And what people fail to realize is that you communicate something very deeply about yourself when you reduce what you feel like you deserve to this material item. Because if you feel like this is all you deserve, even though you're only focusing for the moment, then that says a lot about you. And wealth is never in your future, and being rich is always in your imagination, but never in your reality. So I want to encourage you, just for 12 months, give up on obtaining material items and truly focus on financial freedom. Because when you just continuously focus on I deserve it gifts, that's going to keep you stuck in the mud and just treading your wheels, going nowhere fast. Because if you're already doing something that you truly don't desire, and you feel like you have to buy these material items just for you to cope, to continue on, that's just going to keep you stuck where you are. It's like you're getting no traction whatsoever. Because when you keep buying I deserve it gifts, that's just putting you further and further behind the 8 ball, that you have to stay stuck wherever you are just to maintain and cope in buying these I deserve it gifts just to keep up the current status that you currently have. But it's not getting you, further along, if you will. Now, number 3, and I know this is a real big one for a lot of people, and this is very heated, but disconnect from the world. Disconnect from the world. Like cut off social media, cut off the news, no CNN, disconnect from the world altogether. Because a lot of times what we fail to realize, and a lot of people know this intuitively about everybody else, but rarely do they apply it and attach it to themselves. When we are so immersed and so engulfed in the world, we tend to act like everybody else, because it's a programming going on. It's not just you, it's not just me, it's not just them, it's everybody. And so when you give your attention to whatever the world is programming us to focus on, then you're going to act, respond, and have the same conditions of the world. Now, why is that so important? Because in our country where I live at, the average American person can't afford a $400 emergency. So what that means is that people go to work every single day, no matter if they're making 6 figures, $20,000 a year, or $10 an hour, it doesn't matter. It's the same across the board. More than 76% of Americans cannot afford an emergency fund. Now, why do you think that is across all of these different income brackets? That this large number is the same? Well, I can tell you why. The reason why it's the same is because of programming. They're programmed at the high income level, they're programmed at the middle income level, and they're programmed at the no income level. Because if you're making a low income, that's a no income level. But it's programming. And when you truly disconnect from the world, you don't participate in what the world says is going on. Like, people talk about the recession all the time. And I remember a couple of friends asked me, what do you think about the recession? And my response is, I don't. Because I don't care about the recession, because I don't choose to participate in it. And when you don't choose to participate in whatever is going on, then you don't get the results that everybody else is getting who chooses to participate. Because a lot of times, even when people talk about that there is a recession, guess what? Their bank account reflects it. Their pockets, their work ethic, all of their attention, everything reflects it, because guess what they do? They adjust to the expectation that the world has on them. And if the world expects that there's a recession, guess what? Some kind of way, the world's gonna find a way to take your money so that you can actually participate in a recession as well. And that's just not something that I choose to participate in. And if you truly wanna be rich, that's something that you have to stop participating in as well, if you have been participating in it. Because the thing that we don't understand is a lot of times we stay connected to what's going on in the world just so we can have some type of commonality, something to talk about with other people that, you know, we desire approval from. And what it does is it gives us something to complain about to those people, and it gives them something to complain about to us. And guess what? Even though we have a stronger connection because we have this thing that we can complain about around, it's not moving us any further. And complaining does nothing at all but makes the person feel significant in the moment of who's ever doing the complaining. You think about how often people complain about the weather. You complaining about the weather is not going to make it stop raining. It doesn't matter. So you complaining about something does not change anything, but people, like, they complain about things as if it will. Their opinion doesn't matter. Like, it's amazing at how many people sit on their couch and talk about somebody that's on TV that's making millions of dollars and what they're doing wrong, when this person can't afford a $400 emergency if something were to happen to them or their family. But they're complaining about somebody else as if their opinion matters. And sometimes when we don't disconnect from the world deceives us into thinking that our complaint matters, and it doesn't. And when we think that our complaint matters, we continuously give it, and it continues to keep us stuck financially where many of us have been and will continue to be if we don't change this aspect of our lives and truly disconnect from the world. Now, the fourth thing that I would say is this. This is something, for transparency, it might be the most difficult out of the four. And this fourth thing is truly focused on you removing all temptation out of your home. Now, no matter who we are, and I typically do not use universals like all, always, and never. This is applicable to any person who has a pulse, you know, who has a consciousness, who has an awareness. We all have some kind of temptation. Your temptation might look different from mine. My temptation might look different from somebody else, but we all have temptations. And when you understand what your temptation is, the best thing for you to do to truly get rich and wealthy and to truly be successful is to remove that temptation out of your home. Sometimes we make temptations too convenient. They're too close, and we think that willpower or, you know, only giving ourselves 1 day a week or 1 hour a week or 1 hour a day to expose ourselves to this temptation that we're okay. And it's like, how much poison would you consume if you knew that no matter what, it's going to kill you? Why would you consume any of it? And that's exactly what we do, because our poison is whatever the distraction is. It's whatever the temptation is. For so many people, Netflix is their kryptonite. Netflix is their poison. Netflix is their poverty. Netflix is the thing that's keeping them stuck forever and always. And so whatever your temptation is, it's best to remove it out of your home. If alcohol is your temptation, this might be extreme, but move to a dry county. Like, move somewhere where there is no alcohol, period, and alcohol is like frowned upon and somewhat even illegal in that county. Move to those places. Because sometimes when you move to somewhere that truly removes your temptation, you're introduced to the best version of yourself that you possibly are and that you can possibly be. And so often we never even come in contact with that person because the temptation doesn't allow us to. And for me, my temptation has been for an extremely long time, chocolate cake. Like Netflix and watching movies like that's not a temptation for me. But you give me some chocolate cake or some sweets or donuts or cookies, like that is a temptation for me. And sometimes the best way to remove that temptation or the best way to handle that temptation is having accountability. And I'm blessed and fortunate because my wife is the accountability for me in that area. So it's like, even if we do have it periodically, which we don't most of the time, but if we do have it periodically, there's an accountability that I have to her without her saying anything that will cause me to stop at a certain point or to cause me to stop, period. But even if she doesn't say anything, if I get to a certain point, she's gonna say something. And when she says something, that's when, done, game over, it's time to throw this out. And there's been times where, and for transparency, like I don't call myself cheap anymore, but I'm very economical, if you will. So I don't like to waste things. But there's been times where there's been, a full batch of cookies that if you did put a price on them, like they might be like $7, $8. And I know that might not be a lot of money to people, but I don't like to waste anything. But there's been times where I have agreed to throw that whole batch away And I know that even though, like, man, I want to reach in the garbage and just grab the one on the top that's not contaminated with everything else around it, you know, before anybody else see me. Like, I've had that thought before, but I understand that even though that I'm throwing this away, it's for my better. Like, it's gonna benefit me. Like, it's going to help me. And sometimes people, like, they don't realize the connection that's made when you, like, disconnect from these things. And the reality is this: sometimes people make the mistake that and they'll say, like, I'll do it when, or I'll do it if. You know, like, I'll disconnect from the world if, or I'll disconnect from the world when, or I'll remove these things from my house when, or I'll remove these things from my house if. And when and if are the biggest deceptions, because they never happen. They never come. And it's like, you have to make a decision right now and not make a choice that is going to cause you to trade in what you want for the most for what you want in the moment. And so often people trade in what they want the most for what they want in the moment. So in essence, when you give up these things, you will become successful by default. And when you can become successful by default, that's when your success is not something that might happen, it's something that will happen, and it's almost guaranteed. But the decision is yours. Now, because you clicked on this video and you are interested in becoming wealthy and rich, I want to invite you to if you had an idea or you know, like some kind of thought process about like helping other people, I want to invite you to a training that I'm doing that shows you how to take what you already know and turn it into a 6-figure income by coaching other people only working 20 hours or less a week. So if you are interested, I want to invite you to go to coachinginfluencer.com, and sign up for the training that I have that truly shows you how to take what you already know and turn it into 6 figures, coaching other people only working less than 20 hours a week in the area of your choice. Now, if you got any value from this video and you think other people can benefit from it, I want to encourage you to, number one, like it, but also share. And if you will, comment below and let me know the biggest takeaway for you from this video. But please share with others that you think will and can benefit from it. And I look forward to seeing you on the inside.